Caitlyn Clark has certainly earned a birthday shout out from me. Happy birthday, Cece. Happy birthday, Caitlyn Clark. Um, in her Jordan year now, 23, or LeBron year. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do that. She can only feel 22 now and wear 22. But Caitlyn Clark is responsible for a shift for me personally and, professionally and thus personally, where the coverage that I started doing around Caitlyn Clark and that then turned into women's basketball has been a huge boon for my situation. So for that, I am forever grateful. On top of that, I'm grateful as a basketball and hoops head. I get people in the comment section all the time, well, you're a Caitlyn Clark stan or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I mean, one, for good reason, given the content that is provided and the audience that has come with it. But I would be, regardless, as a basketball fan, how could you not be? How could you like basketball and not like Caitlyn Clark? It doesn't, that's not possible. It shouldn't be. And it's the same thing I dealt with, with LeBron and others over the years. When you're talking about a transcendent talent like that, how in doing what I do you not cover that, and not swoon over that? I mean, I've said it's like talking about Jordan here. It's like being on the ground floor for Michael Jordan. If you could go back in time and be on the ground floor for Michael Jordan, wouldn't you do that? It's the same thing. And people, I think, forget a little bit about, they make this Caitlyn Clark thing into a hype thing when it's so much more than that. I mean, I have a piece on Women's Fastbreak on SI that lists 23 Caitlyn Clark facts. She's the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, of course. We know that. But that's incredible. She led the nation in points and assists as a sophomore and a senior. Hit more threes than any player in a single season, passing Steph Curry. Won the Wooden Award 2 consecutive years. Became the first player to score 40 points in back-to-back NCAA tournament games. Recorded the first 40-point triple-double in NCAA tournament history. Was part of the most watched women's college basketball game ever. 18.9 million viewers. More than 4 million more than the men. The most watched WNBA draft ever. First triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. Fastest to 400 points and 200 assists. Most assists in a WNBA game. Most assists in a WNBA season. Most combined points and assists in a WNBA game. Scored more points than any point guard in WNBA history. Got more all-star votes. First player to be named Player of the Month and WNBA Rookie of the Month. Selected as WNBA Rookie of the Year. Made all WNBA first team. Finished fourth in MVP voting. The Fever set the attendance record. Top selling jersey. Ratings records. Time Athlete of the Year. I mean, the list could be longer than that. It goes on and on and on and on. And, that is the start of it. The genesis of it is how tremendous and transcendent a basketball player Caitlyn Clark is. And then she became a phenomenon off of that. And then everything else spawned off of that. But, it's nice to see her celebrating the birthday too. She shared one of Flage's pictures, wrote elite pick. Of course, Flau'jae Johnson, big foe. That's from the All-Star game. The All-Star game did those huge numbers. Why did the All-Star game do such huge numbers? People were fascinated to see what Caitlyn Clark was going to do in a head-to-head matchup with that Olympic team that she was notably snubbed from. Remember how big a story that was? I mean, you forget just all the massive stories in between, too. Or, the national championship game, obviously. The year before that, beating South Carolina. Obviously, or that's the same year. I'm sorry. And then the next year losing to South Carolina in that record watch game and beating LSU to respond. Then the WNBA draft and not making the Olympic team and the Rookie of the Year race with Angel Reese to the Time Magazine Athlete of the Year piece. And of course, in the middle of that 11 games in 20 days that the Fever played, and people say reality is coming for Caitlyn Clark, the All-Star game, the Olympic break, comes back, sets all these records, Fever make the playoffs. Like, there's just, it's a book. There's books going to be written about it. I'll probably be one of them to write one of them maybe one day. But it is really, extraordinary. It really is. And it cannot be oversold or overhyped. And then speaking of reading, Clark's Foundation, this is according to Keith Murphy here, The Clark Foundation announced a partnership with Scholastic's National Literacy Program to donate 22,000 books to under-resourced schools, focusing on Iowa and Indiana. Clark said, reading and education have always been hugely important in my life. So a great gesture on the day as well. I mean, she's just been a tremendous ambassador for the game, for her sport. The sport has grown in ways that no one could have ever foreseen. Hell, I would have never, ever foreseen. If you would have told me women's basketball, I'd be covering it. I would have told you were crazy. And now I am covering, for the people who say, like, you're obsessed with Caitlyn Clark. I mean, I challenge anybody to find many more people who are doing the variety of topics on women's basketball that I am. And that is the rising tide lifting all boats, where I'm, covering NCAA women's basketball and Unrivaled. And obviously other aspects of the WNBA, going to the WNBA finals has nothing to do with Caitlyn Clark, but everything to do with Caitlyn Clark, if that makes sense. And I know I've talked about this before. It's not like it's like some groundbreaking video or announcement or any of y'all are learning anything new, but wow, what a 2024 Caitlyn Clark had, and what a year as a 22-year-old Caitlyn Clark had. So to turn the page, it's onward and upward. And that's the thing about her too. She's in the gym, she's in the lab, she's working, and she's only going to get better. I mean, that's the scary thing for the rest of the WNBA, is that last year was the worst version of Caitlyn Clark we'll ever see as a basketball player. But for anybody who doubts why, I mean, you just look at some of that stuff I shared. I mean, the truth, the absolute truth. There's no way. I mean, so Common Sense had a line. Common, the rapper, he had a line that was, if I don't like it, I don't like it. It don't mean that I'm hating. And that's true. You can not like something and not be hating on it. But to not respect and appreciate, you don't have to like her. I mean, you don't have to. I don't see what's not likable about her. I mean, she only shows respect. She only carries herself with grace. She only balls out. All that keeps her head down, keeps it pushing. There's nothing not to like about Caitlyn Clark, but you don't have to like her. But if you don't respect her and appreciate her game, then you are hating, because there's, no other way around it. She is already one of the goats when it comes to impact on a sport. And I mean, it's a guarantee she's going to be one of the goats, if not the goat as a player, when it's all said and done as well. So happy birthday, Cece.